All right, today we're jumping into a pretty important statement from a group called Moving Forward. They've just laid out their vision for Bangladesh, and the timing is key. It's all happening with the country's big 2026 national election on the horizon. So let's break down what they have to say. So, the first question on everyone's mind is probably who exactly is moving forward? Well, the statement itself doesn't give a whole lot of backstory, but their branding, their visual identity, that actually gives us some really fascinating clues about who they are and what they're trying to do. Okay, first we see this logo, Sunwing moving forward. You've got the sun, you've got wings. It all feels very aspirational, right? It makes you think of growth, a new day, maybe even taking flight economically. And this is just one of three different looks they use. Then, bam, you get this. The style is totally different. It's high energy, almost explosive. MFTV Press Digital Media Revolution. This one's pretty clear, right? It points directly to a media and communications wing. It tells us they plan to be a serious voice in the digital world. And for the third one, we have this logo, which seems to capture their biggest, most ambitious ideas, moving forward enlightened civilization. You can see symbols for education, justice, farming, industry, the whole shebang. So when you put all three together, you get a picture of an organization with its feet in business, media, and big picture civic goals. Okay, so with that background on who they are, let's get to the real heart of their message. The statement kicks off by painting this picture of Bangladesh being at a really critical moment in its history. And they do not mince words. This statement opens with this really powerful line, and it immediately sets a tone of urgency. It's basically a signal to anyone reading what happens next is a really, really big deal for the country's future. The stakes are incredibly high. So what are these high stakes they're talking about? Well, they boil it down to three core pillars. You've got political stability, economic continuity, and balanced foreign relations. The key thing here, though, is their argument that these aren't just separate items on a checklist. No, they're completely interconnected. You can't have one without the others. They see this as the very foundation for the nation's path forward. And that third pillar, foreign relations, leads directly into their next major point. This is where the statement gets very specific, focusing on one very important neighbor and the whole idea of national sovereignty. They come right out and name India. The document calls peaceful and respectful relations a strategic priority. Now, this isn't just a casual comment. It's a very deliberate and calculated statement about what they consider to be their single most important international relationship. But here's the catch, and this is where you really see the nuance in their position. There's a huge condition attached. The priority is peace and respect, yes? But the non-negotiable condition? It has to be based on mutual respect and, crucially, zero external interference in Bangladesh's own affairs. And just to hammer that point home, the statement makes this incredibly firm assertion. They specifically call out things like politically motivated disinformation and provocation, calling them threats to the nation that just won't be tolerated. It's a very clear line in the sand. So all of this, the concerns about stability, the economy, foreign interference, it's all building up to one single central event, the focal point of this entire statement, the next national election. And they're not being vague about it either. They put a date on it. Mark your calendars, February 12th, 2026. This is the moment they're pointing everyone's attention to. They go on to say this election carries immense significance. In their view, this is not just another trip to the polls. This is the moment that's going to decide the country's direction on everything we've just talked about, stability, the economy, and its place in the world. So what would a successful election actually look like to them? Well, according to Moving Forward, it all comes down to three fundamental, absolutely non-negotiable criteria. 1, it has to be peaceful. 2, it must be free and fair for everyone involved. And 3, the result has to be seen as credible, not just inside Bangladesh, but by the international community too. Now, the statement doesn't just list a bunch of problems and demands and then walk away. It actually ends with a direct appeal, a real call to action that's aimed both at people inside the country and those outside of it. And just look at who they're talking to here. This isn't just a message for Bangladeshis. They are explicitly calling on every political player inside Bangladesh, but also on friendly foreign countries and international partners to step up and play a constructive role. So what kind of role do they want these groups to play? They have a specific term for it, constructive cooperation. It's a really careful choice of words.
See, it's not a call for interference. It's a call for support in achieving three big goals: upholding democracy, keeping the region stable, and, this is the big one, respecting the sovereign will of the Bangladeshi people.
And the whole thing is signed off by its founder, M. Day Delaware Hussein. It's pretty telling that we end on this logo again, the one for an enlightened civilization. It ties this very practical political document all the way back to that very hopeful long-term vision they have.
So, moving forward has made its case. They've defined the stakes, they've laid out their principles, and they've made a very direct appeal for a very specific kind of international support. Which, of course, leaves us with the final big question. As this nation stands at such a crucial crossroads, how is the world going to respond?